to today's webinar. My name is McKay Allen. We're really excited you're here today. I'm the Inbound Marketing Manager at Log My Calls. I run our webinar series and also take care of our blog and a lot of the lead gen we do as a company. And so I'm really excited that we've got such a good webinar today, and we've got such a good crowd on the webinar as well. Just a few announcements to kind of to set the scene for you before we begin. First, a little bit about Log My Calls, how we started doing these webinars, and how we started doing today's webinar with Lander. First, Log My Calls is a call tracking, call analytics company. So we actually analyze the content of phone calls to tell marketers what happened on phone calls. So we actually extract data like lead score and sales readiness and pricing sensitivity, and was there an appointment booked? Was there a closed deal over the phone? Our system does this automatically. We also provide basic call tracking to tell marketers which ads, campaigns, and keywords generate phone calls. Now, as far as our webinar series, our audience is marketers. We work with a lot of agencies and a lot of enterprise-level marketers. And so we said, okay, what's a really good way to become sort of a thought leader for marketers? And the best way to do that is to create really good marketing content. And so we started reaching out to experts we knew in various ends of the marketing industry. There's a lot of areas in marketing, obviously. And we started doing webinars with these thought leaders. And so we started these webinars probably about a year ago. We've done about 90 now, probably about 1 or 2 a week. And they're all on logmycalls.com/webinar. It'll reroute to logmycalls.com/webinar-series, but logmycalls.com/webinar will do the trick. And you can see the webinars we have coming up. Here's today's. We have one tomorrow with a business software review site. And then we've got a couple really good webinars about local search and about form fills and landing pages with Tim Ash, who's very well known in the landing page and conversion world. So, and you can also see past webinar recordings as well. We've got about 80 in the webinar library that you can watch without filling out a form or anything. Just watch them. It's good marketing content. So that's a little bit about us and how these webinars started. A couple of things. This webinar is being recorded, so you can have access to it later and share it within your company. We encourage you to do that. And then second, we also encourage you to ask questions on today's webinar. So type those into the little question bar. I'll address those to Eric today as we get into the discussion. And then finally, we encourage you to tweet about this webinar as it's ongoing. So if you tweet about today's webinar, tweet the things Eric is talking about. Use the hashtag #LogMyCallsWebinar, hashtag #LogMyCallsWebinar to tweet about today's webinar. So with that, I want to introduce Eric, and I want to introduce Lander real quick and give him control of the screen. You can see on your screen as well, Eric Pfeiffer, he's an account manager at Lander. It's an incredibly simple tool to use that allows marketers to create landing pages on the fly without developers. Very simple, very easy to do testing as well. It's a fantastic tool. We work with several companies that use it, and they have nothing but good things to say about it. Eric knows his stuff. He's worked with a lot of clients in a lot of different industries, and he knows the common landing page mistakes and the common ways to test and the pitfalls and the good things. So with that, Eric, we'll turn it over to you. I'll give you control of the screen here, sir. So you can show your presentation whenever you're ready. Go ahead, Eric, whenever you're ready, sir.
Okay. Can you hear me, McKay, and audience?
I can, yes.
Okay,
yes,
great. Okay, fantastic. Thanks. Yeah, it's great to be back here with Log My Calls, McKay, and appreciate the introduction, as you said. My name is Eric Pfeiffer. I'm the account manager here at Lander. Lander is a complete landing page creation platform with a really simple UX, and really allows you to create landing pages quickly and easily. So definitely appreciate, once again, that presentation. And got a lot of things we're going to go through in this webinar today. Basically just common mistakes and issues that we find with our landing pages and how to recognize them and how to correct those. So basically, like I mentioned, most common landing page mistakes, that's one point we're going to go over. To how to properly run A/B and multivariate tests. Actually, Lander is a tool that allows you to run multivariate testing as opposed to A/B testing. How to optimize for mobile, I definitely want to spend a good amount of time on that. How to avoid content copy errors. Best and worst ways to use images, and also common and typical form mistakes. So without further ado, the next slide here. As it says, this is a landing page. In fact, every page, every online web page can only cause 1 of 5 actions. Basically, the first action would be to click through, or get a visitor to click through to another page, to another landing page, or maybe to your website. Number 2, a direct purchase or buy, get a visitor to buy something from a particular page. Number 3, follow up or register page, usually with a form. Get a visitor to give permission for you to follow up with them after filling up that form by them either leaving you their email, their phone, contacts, et cetera, et cetera. This does include registration, of course. Number 4, tell a friend. Get a visitor basically to tell a friend about maybe a free ebook or some kind of information about a product or service they found out on your page. And finally, learn something. Get a visitor to learn something by downloading a white paper or, like I mentioned in the other one, an ebook. And it could even include, allowing them to post a comment or giving you some sort of feedback. So only 1 action per landing page. This is really important. If you have more than 1 offer, each landing page should be dedicated. There should be a landing page dedicated to each offer. It's a common mistake that we see that a lot of people try to, as I like to say, they try to cram too many eggs in one basket. So make it easy on your visitors by not only creating those offers, but dedicating 1 landing page per offer and action. So want to definitely remember that. And 1 landing page for each campaign. That's another one that's really important. And getting back to offers, a lot of B2B companies are nervous about making offers, but they really shouldn't be. And the offers are really good. And the offers basically come in 2 elements. Basically, and remember these. Some of you might want to write these down. If you hadn't heard this before, I'm not sure. But basically, offers have 2 elements. Something of value traded for something of value. Could be time, could be money, could be information. Or something relevant and segmented specifically to a specific targeted audience that's being driven to the page. So just basically remember that 1 landing page per campaign. And here's a pretty cool fact. 87% of companies could see a direct impact on their annual revenue from landing pages. I mean, if you think about that, that's approaching 9 out of every, almost out of every 10. So if you aren't using landing pages, shouldn't you be? I mean, the proof is in the pudding here. You can see it's very evident. I mean, the power of a landing page is apparent. So, and I just want to mention real quick here also that landing pages, what they are standalone web pages that are distinct from your main website. And they've been designed for a single focused objective. I probably should have mentioned that on the other side, but here a little bit later I'll get into that in a little bit more detail. Landing page versus home page. I hear this a lot. We hear this a lot here at Lander. We get a lot of phone calls. I get a lot of people that call me and they tell me, well, I've spent $10,000 on this website, and why is everyone telling me that I need to use a landing page? Well, I mean, for example, sending visitors, especially paid traffic, to your home page is basically a recipe for almost certain disaster. And it's a waste of your precious time, money, and resources. The reason why is because conversion is all about focus. And I was reading online a while back, I don't remember who it was, but basically the article was saying conversion focus is like slapping blinders on your customers and shuffling them toward the bright light that is your call to action. And this is why optimized landing pages are so effective, because they are all about focus. Now, your home page is great. It's not necessarily about focus, because your home page a lot of times has so much information that may not necessarily be relevant to the offer or the ad that the visitor who is searching clicked on to get to your website. Your website has a lot of links. It has a lot of information all vying at the same time for the visitor's attention. And, whatever the visitor was being promised from the ad, if you send them to the home page and all of a sudden that becomes diluted with all this other information, it's doing your visitors a disservice. A lot of times, folks, when they're online and they're scanning and they have a particular goal in mind, when they're online and they're searching and they have a particular goal in mind, they're not really reading content. They're really scanning. They're looking for that solution. They're looking for whatever was promised when they clicked on that ad. So when you send them to their home page and all that kind of gets diluted, they have a tendency to get frustrated, and they're going to hit the back button. So now let's see an example. I'm going to put together in the next few slides here an example of a company that I'm sure most of you have all heard about who do exactly this. They are trying to use their home page as a landing page, And I wanted to just point out some obvious mistakes with this approach and really why you shouldn't do it. And I think you'll see how apparent it's going to be. So let's get started here. Okay, here's the home page for the folks over at Rackspace. And let's just say hypothetically that, not actually hypothetically, because I did just recently return from vacation. I went home to visit my mom for Thanksgiving, and I actually do have a bunch of images and videos, and that's kind of ironic. But let's just say that I have a bunch of images and videos from a recent family vacation, okay? And I want to do a Google search for cloud storage for the images and videos that I've taken. And let's say I click on Google ad, and I see this Rackspace ad. And I want you to remember this ad. The ad says cloud storage and unlimited online file storage, Rackspace Cloud. I want you to keep the headline of that ad in front of you as we go through these next slides. So just remember that. Sounds relevant to what we're looking for, right? I've got some images, got some videos, I need some cloud storage. Okay, great. So I clicked on that ad. Here it takes me to their home page. The first thing that stands out here to me is up here at the top, you see they've got this navigation bar, okay? And the issues with this is that landing pages shouldn't have nav bars. Home pages, yeah, they have nav bars. Why shouldn't they have nav bars? Well, because they're distracting. There's all these links here, and once again, they're vying for my attention, and they're distracting from my initial search, which was once again looking for cloud storage and unlimited online file storage. Remember, that's what the ad said. I'm looking for a place to be able to upload images and videos from my recent vacations. Product, solutions, services, support, and documentation about, yeah, that's great, but that's not relevant to my search. That's not promising me what I clicked on in the ad. So nav bars aren't really good. I mean, you don't want to use them on landing pages. Most true landing pages don't really have them. They're distracting. And if you're looking for a good conversion rate, navigation bars are just not helpful. So the next thing we see here, which I thought was kind of funny, it was this little, you see it up on the right-hand side, and it's red. There's a call to action there, like, we are hiring. It's like, you know, it's jumping out at me. We see this little red flag mini banner thing advertising that Rackspace is hiring. Well, I mean, that's cool if I was actually looking for a job at Rackspace. But remember, I clicked on an ad because I was looking for cloud storage for my images and videos, not a new job. Plus, this big red banner stands out, and it's not only is it not relative to my search, but it's just kind of like screaming for my attention. It's very distracting. So if I was looking to hire their service and their product, I'm not looking for a job, and I see this is a little bit, it's a little bit concerning. You know, it's a little bit annoying. So by this point, I'm still kind of looking for what it is that I was being promised on the ad by clicking through. I'm still not finding it. A lot of the visitors by this point, they might be starting to get a little edgy, a little bit frustrated. So I just wanted to point that out. Next, we have this snazzy looking smart guy in this photo. Okay, he seems like a pretty cool guy, but what's he all about? Who is he? Seems like he's happy. Is he the owner? Is he a happy customer? But here, once again, I don't see any kind of a testimonial. I'm looking here. I don't see any testimonial of any kind. Okay, so like, who is this guy already? Well, I mean, it's good to humanize your brand, but beware with regards to using stock photography. It would be better to use a photo. Let's say it would be better for them to have used the photo of maybe the owner, or of an image of maybe a Rackspace customer, along with like a quick testimonial, something that's a little bit more relevant here. But this is just kind of like a general stock image. I mean, it might even been more beneficial for them to show like maybe a front-end view of an actual laptop, and then maybe like a mobile device, showing the software on screen, showing a little bit more, making it a little bit more tangible. And because the truth is, believe it or not, your visitors are smart, and they can smell a stock photo of fake from a mile away, and they can tell that it's not relevant to the search and the solution that they're looking for. A lot of times they're really just more than distracting. So try to use real photography. Try to use photography that's relevant to the offer, that's supporting of either the owner or maybe of a customer, and then a quick testimonial. It's always going to be better that way. So just keep that in mind. Next, we come to this kind of funky looking headline. You've got code to write. Let us manage the rest. Wait, code? I'm not interested in code. I'm interested in finding storage space for my videos, for my images. What does this have to do with the ad that I clicked on? And once again, I mean, it's not really a headline. And if it isn't a headline, it's not a headline. And if it doesn't have a headline, it's not a landing page. It's like I mentioned before, where's the value proposition? Where's the title? What does this have to do with my need for storage? How is this relevant to the Google ad that I clicked on? Another point I needed to mention that I didn't mention earlier is basically with these landing pages, you have about 8 to 10 seconds. Basically from the headline down to the subheadline, down to some supporting elements. And you know, your value proposition has to be congruent throughout all your copy. So if that's not working, if it doesn't do that for the visitor within the first 8 to 10 seconds, they're going to bail. And I'm imagining that by this point, whoever's clicked on that ad looking for storage space has probably become frustrated. They've probably already abandoned the page by this point. Once again, I mean, there's this text here trying to sell me on building applications for websites. It's not what I was looking for. So this is a big no-no, and their conversions are going to be suffering for this. And if that wasn't bad enough, here not only did we have one nav bar up top, now we have even another navigation bar here down at the bottom with more leaks, well, links or leaks as I like to call them. Once again, this is going back to message match. Where's the relevance to the Google ad? Where is what I'm looking for? I clicked on an ad that promised me, remember it's about promise, you know, storage space for my images and for my videos. So here, I mean, this is a broken promise, you know. By now, you know, most folks have pretty much bailed on this homepage deal. And Rackspace, let's look at it this way. They probably paid for a click on that ad that didn't convert. So this is a huge loss for them. So we need to remember, we need to be clear and simple and avoid being redundant because we're losing visitors, we're losing sight of our goal, we're losing conversions, and we're losing big bucks. Our PPC budgets are just being wasted on this. So finally, with this last slide here, we see this tiny little button here with the very common call to action, sign up now, which I don't really like. But let's just recap on this. If you build a landing page, you're looking for one and only one objective and goal. Make your landing pages relevant to your ads that are pointing to those landing pages, and give them on that landing page, which basically your visitors, exactly what was being promised in those ads that they clicked on in the first place. And just trying to use your home page to accomplish this task is just not the way to do it. As I've showed you, there's so many distractions on here. There's so many things going on the home page. It wasn't relevant to the ad, wasn't relevant to the search. Let's go through it all. The irrelevant image here, a stock photo, 2 nav bars, not just one, confusing content and copy that had nothing to do with our search. And finally, right here, no real clear call to action. I mean, I'm not looking to sign up for anything. I'm looking to hire their service. So I can imagine the conversion rate with this approach was not very good. So now let's take a look at what a simple, well-thought-out landing page can look like and why it works. Here we come to Google, the folks over at Google. This was another ad that appeared while I was doing a search for storage. And this is a great example of a simple landing page from the guys over at Google. The first thing that stands out to me is the headline, and it's telling me that they have exactly what I was looking for. One safe place for all your stuff. And right down here in the sub-headline is really cool. It says, upload photos, videos, documents, and other files that are important to you to Google Drive. Get going with up to 15 gigs of free storage. Cool, I even get 15 gigs of free storage on top of it. So this is really cool. It's right there. It's that little circle image is real simple. It calls out to me. It's the first thing that I see. I really like it. Google wins. They're going to get my money. So the only thing, there's one thing that I saw that I didn't like. I do think that the little call to action button there, the call to action is cool. Go to your drive. It's very direct. They could have made that button a little bit larger. I always try to get away with making my buttons as large as I possibly can to where they're not, ridiculously large. But they need to stand out. Your call to action buttons here need to stand out. So, but other than that, kudos to the guys at Google. This is, like I said, this is a good example about how to create simple copy in a simple landing page, just a few simple images that is relevant and really stands out. And here's an image down here of like a cell phone with like images and stuff behind it. I mean, it's working together. See, there's nothing here that's distracting or pulling me away from the goal. So, and you can definitely see the value proposal is very clear. So, next, let's take a look at some common mistakes and some things that some of us may have a tendency to overlook in a big way at times, especially when thinking about landing pages and different things that can go wrong. So, the first thing I'm going to show you guys here is the sales funnel. It says speaking to all visitors the same. And you see the top of the funnel, you see A, B, C, D. I'm not sure if any of you have ever seen a sales funnel before or understand the way this works. Basically, all the visitors that come to your landing page, that click through to your landing page, they're going to be classified somewhere within this sales funnel as falling in either the top, the middle, or the bottom. And there's a lot of different tactics for appropriating things to apply to each of these three, especially the bottom of the funnel, folks. Let me just explain this. Basically, you might be asking, how can I identify which of my visitors are in the top, which of the visitors that come to my landing pages, which of those are going to be in the top of the funnel, the middle, or the bottom of my sales funnel? Well, the top of the funnel, these are folks that are really not sure how they got on your landing page at the first place. They really know absolutely zilch about you, about your service or product. Maybe they clicked through on a link on your Facebook wall or something on LinkedIn that you posted or something. And they can be attracted through your blog as well. Maybe they just landed on your blog and read some content there that was somewhat interesting. That's somewhat related to a solution they're looking for, social media SEO kind of thing. So they're the ones you have to work the hardest. They're going to have the most tension and mistrust factors with regards to your landing page when they first land up. Next are the middle of the funnel folks. These are folks who have heard a little bit about you. Maybe they've read, maybe they've heard you speak at a webinar before. Maybe they've read some piece of content that you put up somewhere on a blog or on a forum or on your Facebook wall or LinkedIn or whatever. Maybe just, click through on Twitter or something or Googled you or something. Maybe they're currently visiting your blog. They still need some more work and some more encouragement to be pushed a little bit further down. And then finally we get to the bottom of the funnel. These are the ready-to-buy folks. These are the ready-to-talk to someone folks. These are your conversion folks. These are your folks that know about you, that they think that you have the solution to the problem they have, the product or service that they want. And this is always the best part, right, when they reach this stage. So the point I want to make here is there's a couple of approaches here. All of your landing pages need, and this is the challenge because you don't want to have tons of content on your, well, it depends on your campaign. Some landing pages need to have more copy and content than others. Generally, you want to get by with the minimum amount that you could have that still supports the offer and is relevant and has the right mix with the call to action. So but basically, there needs to be a little something on each of your landing pages for each of these folks. And the challenge a lot of times in getting that in your copy is just that. It's a challenge. Or even better, you can have a specific landing page for each campaign targeting each segment of these folks that are coming in through these different streams of traffic from wherever they're coming through. That would target each one and each stage of the sales process that they're at. So those are two things to think about. It's kind of good to probably do both with each campaign. So it's important to remember this because every one of your visitors that are coming through to your landing pages are going to fall somewhere within this funnel. So I just wanted to point that out. Next, we're going to go to another issue, which is not A/B testing. When it comes to landing pages, folks, A/B testing or multivariate testing in the case of Lander, because we don't allow you to have an A and a B variant. We allow you to have an A, B, and a C variant. But A/B testing is huge. If you're not testing your landing pages, they're not getting better. And I talk to a lot of clients. They put together one landing page. They just kind of do it on the fly. They just try to throw the copy up there. They throw it up there. They leave it alone. They don't do any kind of analysis or look at any different types of elements that they want to test, and they call me a month later and say, man, my conversion rate is only 1.2%. What's going on? I'm like, well, are you testing? I mean, I mean, he's like, yeah, well, I've got a couple of videos here, you know. Well, yeah, I mean, those are things that you should be testing. So A/B testing is one of the most important parts of landing page optimization. There's some questions that come along with that, namely, how to run it correctly and for how long. How to run it correctly. First, you need to create the B variation, or with Lander's case, if you're using Lander, you can create also a C variation. And you need to test the A and the B and the C versions simultaneously to measure which version is going to be more successful. What do we mean by that? Basically, under each landing page, okay, in the case of Lander, let's use Lander as an example. With each landing page, you can create a duplicate variant, up to 2 at one time of each landing page, for the sole purpose of testing different elements, like different headlines, different call to actions, a different image, maybe a different product or service testimonial. And the goal for this is to see which resonates the most with your visitors towards the goal, which is conversion. And you see that over here. So that's, in a nutshell, kind of what A/B testing is. And how long to run A/B tests when you do these tests, that's a difficult question to answer, because it depends on your campaign, it depends on your offer, it depends on your landing pages. The main thing to remember is not testing more than one element at a time. This is a mistake I see with a lot of folks. They're like, well, I'm going to test a headline and a couple of videos at the same time. No, stick with testing the headline first. Get that narrowed down first, and then move on to testing other elements. You probably want to run your tests long enough to get a decent sample size. So I know right here in my notes I have written down up to 100 conversions. But that, I mean, that's going to vary. Come to any type of conclusion about a specific element that you've tested. So, generally, when it comes to how long should I run a test, a specific element that I'm testing, long enough to get a decent large sample size, or usually at a minimum of 3 to 4 weeks, somewhere right in that area. That's just kind of as like a safe guess. So, but as long as you're not making a guess, as long as you have some real data to work with that show, hey, this product testimonial video as opposed to this one, look at the conversion rate between my two variants. This one has an 18% conversion rate, and my option B only has a 12% conversion rate. Well, obviously, that option A, that element that we've tested, is leading to a higher conversion rate. So that's going to be your answer. And how do you interpret test results? You don't look at just sales. You need to define your success metrics. You need to review all areas of improvement. You need to look at your click-through rates. You need to look at not only conversions and sales, but also your bounce rates. How many folks are abandoning your landing pages is going to give you a big indication about certain elements. Page views as a whole, the whole enchilada I have written here in my notes. You got to look at all of it together. So, really important to remember. Now we're going to get what to test in your landing pages. We have a lot of elements that we can test on our landing pages, and we need to discover which ones are working and which ones aren't. Headlines. Why don't you try 2 different headlines? Okay, as I've said, your headline is one of the most important factors to keep your visitors' attention, so it's going to be hard to find the perfect one. You need to test different ones, and you need to discover which one works best. And number 2, if you don't have a headline, you don't have a landing page at all. I see so many landing pages where it's just like there's a call to action up there, a form, an image, or a video, and there's no headline. Your headline is what I like to call it's the bait on your landing page. It's the doorkeeper. It's the door opener. A good headline will guarantee that the rest of your landing page down towards the fold is going to be scanned and it's going to be read. If you have a bad headline, if it's ambiguous, it's not clear, or if you have no headline, people are just going to hit the back button because they don't want to have to take time to try to understand and figure out what your offer is about. Speak clearly to your visitors. Let them understand and know exactly what the value proposition of your offer is, and what it is that they're going to get right from your headline. Another thing is a call to action. On your landing pages, you need to be actively telling people exactly what they need to do to take advantage of your offers. This is your call to action. You see it down there on the button here. Your call to action can be a huge buy now button or a sign up form that says download here, or it can even be a simple hyperlink group of words that say click here. You need to continually test these to see which ones work better for your landing page. And you can even try these with not only shorter forms, but also longer forms as well. Because a lot of times, even a simple change in just your call to action, or even just a tweak and using maybe a different keyword in your headline, can bring a huge lift in your conversion rates. And I've seen case studies of, like, change in call to action led to 180% lift in conversions. So that's huge. Next would be colors. Try different combinations of colors. Colors provoke emotions, and it's called the psychology of color. For example, red invokes passion, excitement, and energy. Green, you'll see with a lot of landing pages used by banks or financial institutions, or maybe like environment related. It's a very calming color. Orange or yellow is exciting and warm, provokes images of the sun. Some are warm, so you see a lot of travel agencies or airlines using those and a lot of offers. So as you can see, choosing the color of your call to action button well is important. You need to weigh them against your landing page goals. So, the color of these little buttons is really important, folks. Images. Images obviously important. They can help increase the effectiveness of your landing page, but use them wisely. Number one, like I mentioned earlier, don't use stock photos. Use photos of your product. Use photos of a client who's received value from your service, along with a testimonial. Use photos of the owner. Use photos of your team and your office, speaking to lawyers out there, instead of not just using general stock photos. Just boring, irrelevant stock imagery that has nothing to do with your landing page just diminishes it, and people are going to know the difference. Content. You should try different ways to say what your business offers. And I definitely want to mention, I recommend working out the content and the copy of your landing pages, not while you design them, but before you design them. Have an idea in mind of what you want your landing page to look like, and map out in a rough draft the copy accordingly. And make sure you've done the research on keywords that you've targeted, that you're using, or that are being used in the search by your target audience. You need to sprinkle some of those keywords in your copy. It needs to be in there all the way down from the headline to the subheadline to the some benefits of the offer. It all needs to be there. So, and also finally, the positioning of the elements. This is really important. I see a lot of folks with landing pages, they just have stuff here, there, and everywhere. There's no congruence. It's not pleasing to the eye. You're trying to look at the landing page and follow the flow and understand the offer and what is the call to action. It's way over here to the left, and this is way over here to the right, and it's just all jumbled up. And these are questions you need to ask. Where are going to be the placement of these elements? One important point right here at the bottom of the screen, this is the fold. This is the area where you can see no further without scrolling. Your call to action, there needs to always be a call to action above that fold. Now, if it's a long landing page, if you have a form below the fold, which I really prefer to have them above the fold, but if you have to have them below the fold, you need to repeat the call to action above that fold. However, what you don't want to do is have two competing call to actions in one landing page. Remember, if you have a different offer that's going to require a different call to action, it needs to have its own landing page. So if you have to put a call to action below the fold, just repeat the same one. So that's just important to remember. So once again, not getting these 8 essential best practice tactics. This is the third mistake. Need a loud headline, a good juicy headline that clearly states, and it's not easy because a headline is just one sentence, but that clearly states your offer and your value proposition. You need to have some key benefits. You need 3 or 4 or 5 good bullet points or supporting points, preferably maybe under the form somewhere on the landing page that supports the headline, the subheadline, and ultimately your offer and the call to action. And number 4, you got to have a clear call to action. It needs to be clear from the get-go. You need to be actively telling folks what they need to do to take advantage of your offer. And you need to continually, not only all of these, but continue to test the call to action as well on your landing page. Number 5, good supporting imagery. Like I mentioned earlier, you need to have some good imagery out there. It needs to be relevant. No stock photos, preferably images of your product or service, or your product or service are being used, or of a happy user of your product or service, something that's relevant. And then finally, the number 6 out of 8 here, which I haven't mentioned yet, a video asset if available. Videos are good. Many case studies have shown an 80% increase in conversions just by using a video. Do you have videos of your product or service? Or even a video demonstration of your product being used, or a video testimonial of a client who used and benefited from your service? Any of these are powerful motivators. And we use a good video editing software here at Lander called Camtasia, which allows you to edit videos and so that they look really, really professional on a landing page. So if you have some videos, use those. And those are some things that you need to be testing. And finally, number 8, reviews. Include in your landing pages some testimonials, reviews, or any endorsements of your product or services. Or if you can use any trust badges, as we call them, maybe the logos of some companies that are well-noted companies that you've done business with that have used your service or product. If they'll allow you to use those on your landing page, put those on your landing page, preferably somewhere above the fold. Maybe you've done some work with American Airlines, let's say, or Coca-Cola. These are some recognizable companies, and if you can show that, hey, I've done business with these people in the past, and they're trustworthy, refutable companies, having those on your landing page is going to do a lot to reassure your visitors that, hey, I'm on the right track. So not getting these 8 essential best practices or tactics is a bad thing. And wanted to point those out. Next, not using a customized thank you page or confirmation page as we talk about with Lander. Any of you guys out there, if you're using this is my opinion, okay? Using a landing page platform that doesn't offer a thank you page or a confirmation page feature, you're wasting your time because it's really important. Studies have shown that. We call it a confirmation page here, as I mentioned, at Lander. This is a great way to push your conversions further down your sales funnel. Remember that sales funnel I showed you earlier? You don't usually want direct links from your landing page distracting your visitors from filling out your forms or clicking on that call to action. You want all the focus to be on that. But yet at the same time, you do want to redirect them maybe to other pages or your website or other landing pages. So how's a safe way to do that without losing the conversion? Well, you can use a thank you page to redirect them. Use your thank you page to motivate your visitors to share, in social media through what they found out on or their experience on your landing page, or the ebook that they've downloaded, or add a download link after filling out a form, like I just mentioned, such as an ebook or a white paper. You can even add custom conversion codes for AdWords tracking on these confirmation pages, and a lot of our users do it with Lander, to where they, after the conversion, after they've filled out the form and they've converted, now they're on the thank you page with those tracking codes. You can start tracking the activity of the conversion, where they're going, what they're doing from there, from your thank you page. Or you can even offer a thank you gift or a discount of some kind. I mean, there's a lot of ways to, or maybe a link to another video of some kind. There's a lot of ways to use the thank you page. And I like to call it a springboard page as well. It's almost like a landing page within your landing page. It allows you to safely guide them towards further sales goals, and it's a winner for you because you've already gotten the lead, you've already gotten their contact, they've filled out the form, there's no risk there with the potential of losing the contact. So definitely use a thank you page or confirmation page if you have one of those. And with Lander, we do offer that with our service. So, and finally, not turning on the traffic faucet. Okay, you can optimize and plan. Not turning on the traffic faucet there, it says up the top. You can optimize and plan, but it's not a party until the guests arrive, right? You've got to get some traffic. You need to create and start driving traffic to your landing pages to make them work. There's a lot of questions about the best way to do that. Well, there's 3 ways you can do that. You can use blogs and forums that are privy to whatever niche that the target audience of the landing page is aiming for. Social media like Facebook, Twitter, those are all great. But the best way and the fastest way and the most surefire way to get traffic to your landing pages, believe it or not, is through pay-per-click campaigns. And I'm just going to give some quick tips on pay-per-click because we can really spend a lot of time on this, and I don't know how we're doing on time, but I want to keep it rolling here. So here's some quick tips on creating traffic through PPC. Just remember, the ad that you create in your PPC campaigns that you're aiming toward your landing page, you want the headline of that ad to be as close or as exact as possible to the headline in your landing page. And the copy from the ad on down to the copy of your landing page, it needs to flow, needs to have a certain amount of keywords and be relevant to the offer and contain the right balance of those keywords that you've researched to use at reaching your specific target audience. Why is that? Well, because Google, when they scan the ad and they scan your landing page, they're going to look for relevance. They're going to look to see, hey, is this all flowing together? If the ad says 10% off this pair of Nike shoes, does the headline and the landing page also say 10% off a pair of Nike shoes? If it begins to get diluted and Google scans the landing page, they're going to penalize you for that. You're going to get a lower quality score, and your cost per click is going to go up. So that's one quick important point I wanted to mention. Number 2, make AdWord budget decisions. Keep in mind that if you spend a tiny amount monthly on advertising, expect your results to reflect your investment. However, I recommend, just because I've spoken with a lot of clients and I've heard their frustration of investing huge amounts of money off the get-go in AdWords, and unfortunately it bombed out and they got frustrated with it. It's best it takes some time to learn AdWords. It takes some time to learn how to optimize your landing pages for it to get the lowest cost per click and do it well. So start your monthly AdWords budgets out small and gradually grow them with time as you get better and as you learn more. And finally, I just wanted to mention real quick, Google Ads and Facebook Ads and also Bing Ads are great, and they do have plenty of resources available, and they do allow for excellent segmentation. They also have really great help and support centers, give you a lot of tips on AdWords. And if you Google online about PPC, traffic for landing pages, and AdWords, there's so much information out there, guys. Good information. I know McKay and the folks here, a lot of my calls are going to have Tim Ash, at a webinar here shortly. And he has a lot of great advice on PPC campaigns with landing pages. Brian Massey, he's another one. So if you Google any of these folks, we also have our help blog here at Lander, which also has some good information on PPC and how to do it correctly and some tips and things. So definitely plenty of stuff there to research. And I want to mention, you want your AdWord campaigns to be recurring, controllable, and stable, basically so you can repeat it with successful results. Just don't try to bite off more than you can chew in the beginning. Keep your AdWord budget small and your campaigns small and grow them over time. And finally, not closing the loop. Let's suppose you're doing everything right with your landing pages. You've got your message in place for the right funnel parts for all the different visitors and different parts of your funnel. A/B testing was run correctly. You've got a really highly optimized landing page. You followed all the essential best practice tactics. Got this awesome thank you page. Everything's cool. Everything's working great. But what are you doing with the visitors? Wait, I got this list I'm starting to build. I'm starting to build these lists. Well, you need an email service provider. For example, like another one of our products called Doppler, which is kind of like the sister app of Lander. Doppler functions very similar to other commonly known apps like MailChimp and Aweber. And you can fully automate it with Lander to where the flow of contacts from your forms will go right into Doppler, and you can start creating lists, segmenting those lists, and hey, you can start creating more offers, new campaigns with new offers, and start sending emails out to those contacts that you're getting, those folks on your list. So that's about closing the loop, keeping the cycle going, from, getting visitors and building lists, funneling them over to an email marketing app such as Doppler, and then, sending out targeted emails to them with new offers to new landing pages. So it's a continuous cycle, and use it to your advantage. And finally, confusing content. Remember, I mentioned earlier, with your landing pages, you've only got about 8 to 10 seconds basically to clearly convey your offer to your visitors and how they can take advantage of it. And I also want to mention that a lot of time your visitors, most of the time, and statistics have proven that people when they're reading online, they don't really read, they scan. They're going to be scanning your copy really as opposed to reading it completely. This means that your written copy needs to be crystal clear to the readers, to your visitors. It's got to be painfully obvious to them from the get-go exactly what you want them to do on your landing page, exactly what you're offering them, and how they can take advantage of it. Is it a white paper? Is it a free consultation? Is it a free ebook, like I mentioned earlier, a 10% off a new pair of shoes? Are you trying to get them to take out their credit card and make a direct purchase of some kind? If so, exactly what is it? So if your offer is not going to be quickly understood and clearly perceived by your visitors within those first 8 or 10 seconds, they're going to get nervous and itchy. they're going to get distracted, frustrated, and abandon your page. So all of your content from your headline on down to your sub-headline to the 3 or 4 supporting bullet points explaining some benefits, your value proposition, it all needs to be there. It needs to flow and be working together quickly, or else you're going to have a high abandon rate. And another really common mistake on landing pages that I see all the time is just these huge landing pages with so much content. A lot of time, so much copy, with a lot of copy that trying to cram, once again, too many eggs in one basket. A lot of questions and a lot of information that, frankly, at the step of the sales process that the landing page is at would really be too much. Remember, you're just trying to get them to sign up. You're just trying to get them to fill out a form initially. You're just trying to get an initial submission. Certain questions, certain important aspects can be saved for further on down the sales process, maybe on another landing page or in an email later after you've already got their contacts or with a phone call. Don't try to overwhelm your visitors with so much copy. And make sure also, once again, that you draft that copy out before you start designing. Don't try to do it on the fly while you're designing. It's a really bad way to do it. So make it easy on your visitors by keeping your content, clear and quick and concise. And once again, giving your landing page reader too many choices. Unlike online marketers talk about the paradox of choice. Basically, the paradox of choice is this. The best choice when confronted with too many choices is to choose nothing at all. So while we're on this topic of things that can potentially confuse your visitors, just remember this. When you're trying to close a sale, especially on a landing page when someone's surfing online, don't offer your visitors more than one item or product at a time. What's the takeaway for all of this with our landing pages, and why is this so important? Well, just think about it and think about it this way. Put yourself in your visitor's shoes. Prospects are probably already under stress. They may or may not know much about you or your business. They can't physically walk into your store and try things on or look at things or tangibly touch things. And they're probably feeling at least a little bit tense and maybe confused, or maybe mainly tense. There's some trust issues there because you're asking them potentially, let's say, with regards to making the decision towards buying something from that landing page. This regards their money. So the stress and tension is going to be multiplied. For example, let's say if you're asking them to take out their credit card and make a purchase. So remove all that by making it easy as possible on your visitors by just giving them one choice at a time. Trying to cram too many CTAs on a landing page, it just creates unnecessary stress and tension. And remember, once again, I said earlier, if you have a longer landing page that goes below the fold, just repeat the same CTA somewhere above or below. Just don't overwhelm them with too many choices or too many things trying to vie for their attention at one time. And once again, I know I've stated this a few times, images that add nothing of value to your sales message. And this is just such a common mistake, like I mentioned earlier. You use images to make things tangible. I saw a landing page earlier that showed a software product for a mobile app, and it showed the hand of the user with the smartphone in the hand, and it showed a display of the app. That's showing that's making, a software product is hard to make. It's hard to make it tangible because it's a software product. It's not necessarily something that you can put in your hand and touch and feel. But I thought they used the image in a cool way that allowed that to kind of happen. And you can also use images to direct people's attention. You'll see like landing pages with maybe a picture of the owner pointing or making a suggestive gesture with his hands towards the form, like, hey, fill out my form. Or you'll see an image of a guy with like an arrow pointing towards the form. That's using image to direct people's attention. Or maybe, someone pointing towards the form or someone pointing towards the call to action button, download here. Those are clever ways to use images. and finally, also using images to build trust. Remember the folks at Rackspace, they had that kind of goofy stock image up there? That's not building trust. What builds trust is, hey, I see the owner of the company, his image on the landing page, or I see the image of a satisfied user with their testimony underneath. That builds trust, because trust and tension are always two things that are working against you with any landing page, and you have to constantly combat that and reassure your visitors the whole time they're on your page. And finally, using images to engage your visitors' emotions. It's like, okay, for example, if I'm a hard rock guy, and I want to buy a new Jackson guitar, and I click on an ad that says for a new Jackson guitar, I get to the Jackson guitar page, and I'm this hard rock guy, and I see this like picture of this little girl in a pink dress playing a ukulele. wait a minute. That's not the right image for the right target audience. That's not engaging my emotions. I want to see a picture of, I don't know, the guy from AC/DC rocking out or something, to really provoke me to want to buy this in Jackson guitar. So just keep things logical and make sense, So now finally, getting over to mobile landing pages. Some 4 quick points we're going to talk about with mobile. Mobile is a new and it's a very large growing trend. I was on vacation, I heard with regards to Cyber Monday, estimates were that 4 out of every 10 online purchases last Cyber Monday were made from mobile devices. So it's a huge growing trend. Okay, and there's 4 points with mobile. Make it snappy, in other words, fast download. It needs to be able to download fast. Focus on the visibility. Everything needs to be big and easy because the small screens. Make the conversion easy and analyze and test. Let's focus on the first one. Make it snappy. Mobile users expect the mobile pages to download as fast as the desktop versions or the notebook version. So make sure that you compress all your images, keep copy to touch that button. You keep touching it, touching it, touching it. It's this teeny little button, and you're just trying to like download that new movie or whatever. It's a pain. So make the stuff as big as you can. Don't throw up a ton of images or content. Usually just 1 image is enough for these mobile versions. And once again, just all working together. Make conversions easy. Scroll menus, checkboxes, and lists are great ways to simplify the data entry for your mobile users. Keep the form short and sweet, nice and simple. If you're asking them to make a direct purchase of any kind, minimize the number of steps as much as possible for them to just make that purchase and get on with it. So just keep mobile simple. And once again, analyze and test. Using Google Analytics, you need to understand how your mobile users are journeying through your mobile pages and how they're engaging with it. Once again, Lander offers A/B testing. And you can implement your analytics findings and gauge the mobile pages, improve performance, all that stuff. Always be testing, testing, testing. It's the same thing with mobile pages as it would be any other standard desktop version. So make sure you're always testing. And now we're getting down to the bonus track as we're approaching here the end of the webinar. 3 quick landing page mistakes that crush conversions. And I've probably already covered a few of these a little bit. Number 1, blowing the headline. Remember I said earlier, if you don't have, I call these actually landing page killers, so these are good ones. Remember I said earlier, if you don't have a headline, you don't have a landing page, period. Your headline is the initial date on your landing page. It's the door opener, and it's going to decide whether the rest of your landing page gets read or not. You need to be actively testing them, different headlines, to be finding out which ones work better. And they need to contain at least one of the benefits and the value proposition of of your product or service and the offer on hand. So you need to remember that. Basically, ignoring basic aesthetics. Covered this a little bit. Your landing page needs to have congruence. In other words, it needs to flow from one element to the next. Don't just throw up a huge jumble of different images and colors and text, but allow your landing pages to flow aesthetically from top to bottom. White space is your friend on your landing pages. Don't crowd your landing pages with a bunch of loud or flashy imagery and make it look gaudy. Just remember, landing pages are not out to win awards in creativity. Their power lies really in their simplicity of look and copy. So use that to your advantage, and don't try to reinvent the wheel aesthetically with some wild landing page. Make them simple, pleasing to the eye, and easy to understand. That's the power of these landing pages. And finally, number 3, having the call to action below the fold. If you have a longer landing page that extends below the fold, and we covered this a little bit earlier, you need to always have that call to action repeated somewhere above it or below it. The fold, in case I didn't cover it, is the lowest limit of the landing page on your screen where it has to be scrolled down further to be viewed. So, if it's going to be a long landing page, just repeat it below the fold, and also don't cram more than one call to action on each landing page. It's making life really difficult for your visitors. each call to action, each offer needs to have its own landing page. So, and finally, I don't have the clock. McKay, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. That was awesome stuff. Thank you for the information. That was really really good, really thorough.
Okay.
We had some questions at the outset, but then you promptly addressed them all through your presentation.
We got lucky then. That's good. Okay.
I know, that's good.
Yeah, glad I was able to do
the
that.
only question people are asking is if the webinar is recorded. It is being recorded, and what we'll do is we'll send that as an email to you in the morning, everybody. So you'll get an email in your inbox at like 5 a.m. that'll have this webinar recording attached to it. There'll be a link actually you can click on. That was awesome. We'll make that available to you, as I said. And again, if you want more information about Lander, go to their website. Is it landerapp.com? Is that the website?
That's correct. Yeah, landerapp.com. Right. They can set up a free account with us and start using the application. So, and actually, I wanted to mention here real quick. We're offering a special discount for any of the webinar attendees that would like to try out Lander. We'll give them a 25% off discount for the first 3 months. I believe it's with any plan. That the code that they would need to use that when they register is log my calls. You see it right there. So
that's great. Good stuff. And just a reminder about our holiday offer as well. If you go to logmycalls.com, you sign up for an account this month, you actually get a free Kindle Fire HD if you sign up in the month of December. It was one of those things where it's like, okay, people we're talking to are like, oh, we'll wait till January. It's like, no, let's do it in December. So
just in time for Christmas. Yeah.
That's exactly right. So you'll get your Kindle Fire. So anyway, thanks for your time today. We really appreciate it. Eric, thanks for your time. We appreciate you taking it. And again, everybody, thanks for attending. We'll get this recording out to you in the morning. So everybody have a wonderful rest of your day.